I always hear a lot, and I'm sure some of you do too. If God is so good, and why does He allow bad things to happen? Why does He allow Satan to run unchecked? And because I think that was part of the original system or test here, or whatever you call it. This area was like a training ground to help the progeny of God, whatever larger creative being, was to help us, His offspring, learn and train, for lack of a better term, to become like whatever He is, okay? Now, as part of within this test, you can't know what you really are, so there has to be some sort of amnesic effect. The same thing you get a dose of when you go to sleep is what you get when you're born. You don't realize what you are. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a test. Now, in this test, there is an opposing force put here to challenge us. Again, otherwise it wouldn't be a test. The opposition is related to our Father. He's either from His group or he's directly related, and that would be what we call Lucifer, or Satan. Over time, he became jealous of us because we are his direct progeny, whereas Satan, his job was to do something else, and he became jealous of what we had and what we were being given, and decided to crank up the opposition and hold us hostage by keeping us here and sucking off our life force, and perhaps even, well, not perhaps, even in a silical reincarnation situation where whereby we're kind of stuck here. And everyone here is really actually one thing. We're one person split up into these different points of attention that express themselves as individuals. It was set up this way beforehand. So when people say, why does God let these things happen? How is Satan allowed to run unchecked? Because he was originally given this space to be in opposition, and he was originally in tandem with God. He was part of the thing, which is, what the Bible says, right? So when he fell from grace, or he's, fallen or whatever, when he decided, hey, you know what? I don't have what God's kid's gonna have, so I'm gonna spitefully keep his kid here and just suck off his life force and enrich myself with all the pleasures of this test, simulation, whatever you call it. And I mean, it's just a thought I had. I think at the same time, we're also experiencing, I don't think we're just here. We're other places as well. Well, obviously, the larger part of us is somewhere else. But I think we may be also split up between similar tests, just like this one. It sounds very science fiction and crazy, but I don't think I could take anything off the table. And something about this track, maybe not exactly this scenario, but it's something like this. I think I'm getting closer to that. And sometimes you gotta piece things together. It's like a giant puzzle on the kitchen table, you're going through it. And I've used this analogy before, so just please bear with me if you heard it, but you get a piece and you realize, hey, this looks like that other piece I just got a few days ago. They're both black and have a pattern. And you put those pieces together and you suddenly realize, oh, that's a wheel. So you keep putting pieces together. And like, oh, it's a wheel of a car. Oh, let's go. See, I have looks like a piece of a car over here. And then when you put this together, you find that it's actually a car. And then the more you build, you find it's a race car. And the more you put pieces together, you find it's a specific race. It's the Indy 500 in 1976. And you get this whole picture together. And you go, oh, this is what it is. It's the Indy car race. But then you realize, oh, it's the Indy car race in 1976 on a television. And that television is in a gas station. It just keeps going like that. But this feels like another one of those things, like a simplification of the scenario, of the situation we're in. I always try to come up with things like that. But I think it's something like that. Like, because you can't do something separate from the... I mean, you can come up with theories separate from the Bible, but if you can find one that's applicable to the experiences we're having here and ties into the Bible, because there's truth in the Bible. I understand the idea of it passing through many hands, the idea of it written by man, and how much can you trust that? I mean, we don't know fucking King James. You know what I mean? He could be... And there's precedent for leaders adding their own amendments to holy books to benefit themselves in their time. So I get it. But so I'm trying to always look at something that will be relevant to what appears to be happening and is congruent with the Bible. And I think the idea of Satan always... This was predetermined before he had fallen, before he was such a bastard. He was actually one of God's people. And I use the words he and stuff. They're not men. These guys don't have penises. It's like, why would they? It's ridiculous. These are forces. We don't know what they are. We can't conceive of what this is. We describe them and think of them as men because those are terms we understand. But, I mean, they're not like guys. But, so his job was always to have this place, to run this place. But it wasn't supposed to be cranked up to 11. And things are cranked up to 11. I mentioned before, like, it's almost like we're being tortured here. And we are. I mean, every possible level of every knob has been turned all the way to 11 to get to suck the biggest amount of energy out of us, so that they can benefit him and his team, or whoever they are, the boys that are supposed to make the opposition here, so that they can have this life here, living off us. If that makes any sense at all. I just woke up, and I have sometimes when I wake up I get these weird clear understandings, to me anyway. Now noontime could roll around and I'll be like, what the fuck was I talking about? But I want to get this down anyway. I don't even know if I'll post this, but I want you to have it here anyway. And in case I posted it, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.